But yeah, this is rise and fall of the Jakks Pacific WWE figures. Very, very interesting. Oh, muted. Duh. Back it up.
Hey everyone, this is Stevie Richards,
There it
host
is.
of the Stevie Richards Show, and you are watching
Yeah,
Pinfalls
I'll
and
get some more
Pixels,
cards. We'll do
where
this again.
wrestling
It took about
meets
2 weeks to
gaming.
come in though,
Hosted
which
by
was what was
Rocky.
crazy. I never actually got into these. Let me turn this up.
For wrestling fans of the late
There it is.
90s and early 2000s, few things can match the thrill
Jericho?
of
Yeah,
stepping
it's
into
kinda
a
crazy.
toy aisle and seeing the latest Jakks-specific WWF figures on the shelves. From the bone-crunching action line to the hyper-detailed classic Superstar series,
Ooh, Terry
Jakks went
Funk.
hand in
I would have
hand
loved a
with
Terry
wrestling
Funk one.
collectibles. These just weren't action figures. They were a gateway to a world of imagination. Backyard brawls, dream matches, and recreated Monday Night Wars, all unfolding on
Real
bedroom
question
floors
is-
and makeshift arenas.
Ah,
This was me
Just
as
happened.
a kid. The earliest memory of wrestling figures I have is the King of the Ring playset. I had an entire tote full of
all right. Real question. Should I get some wrestling figures for back there? I've got these what's it called? Micro brawlers. There it is. Yeah. Pretty cool. I've got this that bum MJF. Might give me some figures. We'll see what my local stores have.
rings, backstage areas, and figures from both WCW and WWF, the weapons, the accessories. I even had a commentary table with Jim
Heck
Ross
yeah.
sitting in a
That's
chair.
so sick.
And next to him was a wheelchair for our special guest to sit in. And you better believe that I even had the entrance music queued up and ready to go,
Oh yeah.
whether it was their proper theme or a reimagined one. For instance, I had a WCW Dean
Okay, my
Malenko
right
figure,
kidney
who I
meet
threw a
Terry
leather
Funk when he was
jacket
alive.
on,
I
and he would
agree.
come out to the Great
100%.
Malenko by the Insane Clown Posse. A total badass heavyweight champion. Just
Wait,
as
did
the
they
ad-
make Insane Clown Posse action figures? That would have been kind of sick. Like, I'm not a huge Insane Clown Posse guy, but if WWE put out action figures for them, that honestly pretty sick. Pretty big dub for Insane Clown Posse.
Attitude Era exploded into mainstream culture, so too did Jakks Pacific's reign over wrestling toys. For over a decade, Jakks produced some of the most iconic and beloved wrestling figures of all time.
Little Al Snow
Yet,
action.
despite their dominance, their empire would crumble, and the WWF, later WWE license would be given to a new challenger.
Oh,
What happened
Mattel's
to the
making them
once
now, right?
thriving kingdom of Jakks WWF figures? How did a toy line that ruled the wrestling world
Eddie
fall
Guerrero,
so
Eddie
hard?
Guerrero looks so bad.
In this video, we will explore the rise, the peak, and the
The
fall of
wise
Jakks
guys.
Pacific's WWF toy line. We'll dive into the innovations that
Is Jakks Pacific still around? Hold on. I'm curious. I guess it is. Oh yeah, look, they're making Sonic toys down here. Let me see what they whatever. Yeah, they're making toys for Sonic 3. Disney toys, Simpsons. Okay, they're still around. For a second there I thought they might have gone out of business. But it looks like they're doing fine. They're doing Dogman, Moana 2. They're doing just fine.
made their figures a must-have, the legendary playsets that brought the action to life, and the missteps that led to their downfall. This
Yeah,
is the
that's a
story of
bad
how
one.
Jakks built a toy
Oh
empire,
no.
and also how it all came crashing down. To understand the impact of Jakks Pacific on the world of wrestling toys, we have to go back to the mid-90s. By 1995, the WWF was struggling. The golden era of Hulkamania was kind of fading. The Monday Night Wars were just beginning, and WCW was gaining ground. Meanwhile, The toy market for wrestling figures was in transition. Hasbro, which had produced vibrant, exaggerated WWF figures since 1990, had lost the license. Enter
I think I've
Jakks
seen some of
Pacific,
those before.
a young toy company hungry to make a mark. Founded in 1995, Jakks struck a deal with the WWF to become its official toy partner. Their
Nice.
first task? To create a line of figures that stood apart from anything fans had seen before. Hasbro's figures had been small and stylized, while LJN's were hefty and lacked articulation.
Interesting.
Jakks wanted something different. Figures that felt real, looked real, and most
Look at that gold
importantly,
dust one. That gold dust one does not look good. I think I kind of like the artistic style of these. Like Bret Hart looks really cool. Undertaker kind of looks like most critical. Shawn Michaels really cool. Razor Ramon, yeah, all these look cool. But gold dust, that gold dust does not look good. But to be fair, he had a ton of detail in his costume. I guess you could call it, or gear. Some people would call it. I personally feel like it's more of a costume than gear.
moved like real wrestlers. Thus, in 1996, the Bone Crunching Action, or BCA line, was born.
Those are so
These were
sick.
6-inch figures with articulated arms and legs, but their real selling point was the signature bone crunching sound that came from bending their joints. Kids could twist a figure's arms or legs, and a crackling noise would mimic the sounds of a real wrestling match.
That's
It was
so
a simple
cool.
gimmick, but it made these
I remember
figures
watching
feel
when
alive.
they released those.
The first wave of Jakks WWF figures hit shelves in 1996 with a roster of 6 superstars: Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Bret Hart, Diesel, Razor Ramon, and Goldust.
Yeah, see, look at that gold dust. Bro. This gold dust is bad. That's bad. Like, I guess they got it spot on, to be honest with you. They got it pretty spot on. Oh, but that brother is ugly. Brother is ugly.
They had a bulkier, more realistic sculpt compared to Hasbro's previous line,
Look at this.
but their
neck.
likenesses weren't perfect, an issue that would become a recurring problem for Jakks. Despite the occasional sculpting issues, the bone crunching action line took off, and Jakks wasted no time expanding the series.
Whoa. Is that supposed to be Yokozuna? Bro, look at this face. The Mark Merrill one is somewhat close. The Ahmed Johnson one, I mean, if they built it off this picture, they got it kind of spot on. Mark Merrill isn't awful, but the Yokozuna one, brother, that one is diabolical. This one's almost like comically like Asian. And that brother wasn't even Asian.
Over the next few years, the WWF roster would grow, and so would the number of figure releases. With the success of Series 1, the WWF roster would grow.
Who is this? Who is this? I don't know who would go in between Jim Neidhart and Kane. I know who it is. I know who it is. Is it Jerry Lee Lewis? Maybe. I don't remember. But this is hilarious. Oh, who was it that he did those videos on? I can't remember. It'll come to me in a second. But that's funny.
And so would the number
Good
of
one on
figure
you,
releases.
Pinballs and Pixels.
With the success
Glocky.
of Series 1,
Good
Jakks
call,
quickly followed up with
Glocky.
Series 2 in late 1996.
That's hilarious.
These releases set a pattern that Jakks would follow
Vader,
for years.
bro, Vader looks like he's taking a
Repaints
dump.
and re-releases, sometimes with slight variations in color or attire. As the WWF entered 1997 and the Attitude Era began to take shape, Jakks kept up the momentum. Series 3 introduced new faces like
Psycho Sid, bro. Psycho Sid looks psycho. They got that one. They nailed it. Nailed
By
that one.
now, Jakks had realized that repaints and slight mold adjustments could extend the life of the line. Figures were being repackaged,
Jeez. What is this? There is no life in those eyes. There is no life in these eyes. Oh my god! And that is awful. A Sable. How could you do this to Sable? Mark Merrow, I understand. He turns out not to be that great of a guy, but Sable, come on, man.
Released, and sometimes given the most minor tweaks to match updated attires.
That's so funny.
As Jakks continued to dominate the WWF toy market, they introduced sub-series and exclusives.
Wait. Is that John Moxley? Look at this. Is that John Moxley? I don't know who that is. It's not Stone Cold. Could be John Moxley.
Coming back. Shotgun Saturday Night, which featured figures in street attire inspired by WWF's edgier late-night TV show. Jakks would also experiment with theme series, such as Signature Series, which had the wrestlers' autographs printed on their tights.
Interesting.
And the Grudge Match 2-packs, which let kids recreate
they could not make a good Stone Cold Steve Austin to save their lives.
Classic rivalries right out of the package. One of Jakks' most infamous and bizarre early sublines was Stomp.
What?
Short for Special Tactical Operations Military Police.
What?
Launched in 1997 and continuing
What's it, Kim Shamrock? That's insane.
Into the Titantron Live era, Stomp was a military-themed wrestling figure line that had little to do with actual wrestling. Instead, it reimagined top WWF superstars as action
Sable
heroes,
wearing
complete
nothing
with oversized weapons, body armor,
so
and
insane.
sci-fi inspired gear. While Stomp was a cult favorite among kids who liked action figures more than wrestling, it remains one of the most divisive lines among collectors.
Yeah, I could see how like kids would love this, but as like a older adult wrestling fan, you would probably hate this, and like somebody who wants to collect these would probably hate it too. But I could see why kids would love these, even if they don't actually watch wrestling.
Loved its sheer ridiculousness, while others saw it as a cash grab that had no place in the world of wrestling figures. Perhaps the most over-the-top and absurd wrestling figure line Jakks ever released,
Maximum Sweat
was a fever dream of 90s action toy gimmicks. These figures were grotesquely oversized, with exaggerated muscles, snarling facial expressions, and yes, actual sweating action. By filling their backs with water, kids could make their favorite wrestlers appear as if they were actually dripping in sweat, just like they had finished a grueling match. While Jakks undoubtedly hoped this would be a hit, Maximum Sweat was mostly met with confusion.
Yeah, I could see why.
Nothing like their real-life counterparts, and their bulky design made them difficult to use in wrestling matches. Still, for a brief period, they were a staple on toy shelves, and their sheer ridiculousness has earned them a place in wrestling toy history.
That's crazy.
By 1999,
that's still a bad Stone Cold model.
Was at its peak. The Monday Night Wars were in full swing. WWF was crushing WCW in the ratings, and household names like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin,
jeez,
and
it's so
Triple
bad.
H were ushering.
What is this? What is this? They give him a flat top mullet. What is it? What's going on with his pants? He's wearing
new era of sports entertainment.
Chaps. Got chaps
Jakks
on?
Pacific had ridden the wave of success with its bone-crunching action line, but by the turn of the new millennium, it was clear that the figures needed a serious upgrade. The articulation was outdated, the sculpts were hit or miss, and fan expectations were evolving. Enter the Titantron Live series, a bold reinvention of WWF figures that aimed to bring more realism, articulation,
that was a little bit better.
And a unique electronic feature that would take playsets to the next level. Launched in late 1999, the Titantron Live line was named after WWF's signature entrance screen, which had become an iconic part of the Attitude Era.
Is that
what
Vince
made
McMahon?
these figures stand out was
Bro, what is that? What the hell is that? It looks like a witch. What did they do to him? They massacred my boy.
electronic compatibility. Each figure featured a metallic
Oh, that's
strip on
cool.
its foot that, when placed on the Titantron Live playset, would activate the wrestler's entrance theme. Or sometimes the wrong entrance theme.
What?
But this innovation came at a
The Rock.
cost.
That's
In
so
order
bad.
to incorporate the electronic strip, Jakks had to alter the design of the figures. Unlike the stockier, chunkier BCA figures, Titantron Live figures were slimmer, had longer limbs, and featured a more upright stance. While this gave them a more lifelike appearance, it also made them more fragile. Collectors and kids alike found that figures were more prone to loose joints and breakage. The first wave of Titantron Live figures featured top-tier superstars like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Mankind, The
Alright.
Undertaker,
I want that
X-Pac,
Mankind one.
Road Dogg, and Billy Gunn. Each figure was an attempt at capturing a more realistic likeness compared to the prior BCA figures. Kids loved the ability to hear their favorite wrestlers' theme music, and collectors appreciated the updated scale and sculpting. But as Jakks had proven in the
Bro,
past,
what? This they gotta throw that Triple H model away. Whoever sculpted this thing needs to be put in prison. This is awful.
once a series took off, they would expand it rapidly. Following the success of Series
That Stone
1,
Cold's still
Jakks
bad.
wasted no time rolling
Deborah.
out additional waves. Series 2 and 3 introduced new superstars
That's
like
not a
Big
bad
Show,
Big Show.
Chris Jericho, and
That's
Edge.
a bad Chris Jericho. That's a horrible
Meanwhile,
Edge.
repaints
Oh my
became
God.
a staple of the line, with minor attire changes being marketed as brand new figures. Jakks would also double down on sublines.
What is that? That Jeff Hardy is crazy. Jeff Hardy is insane.
Introducing theme series such as Backlash, Rebellion, each tied to a WWF event or storyline. Some figures came with unique accessories,
What
while
the
others
heck,
were
man?
simply repaints with slight
Bro.
modifications.
He looks
Beyond
depressed.
the figures themselves, the biggest selling point of the Titantron Live line was the introduction of the new, highly detailed playsets. Additional playsets like the Backstage Brawl set and the Hardcore Ring expanded the possibilities for WWF action figure matches. However, despite their ambition, these playsets weren't without flaws. The Titantron
Yeah,
Live
true,
system
from
had limited
memory.
compatibility. Only certain
Oh my
figures had the
gosh.
electronic strip, meaning the older bone-crunching action figures in later series without the strip wouldn't work with the stage. Additionally, the sounds were often low quality, and some themes would sound distorted or incomplete. As Titantron Live expanded, so did the issues. One of the
Mankind,
biggest
pretty
complaints
sick,
was
though.
the figure scale. While they were intended to be more realistic,
Bro, what is this? What is this? Who is this made for? Nobody's mouth does this. Yeah, no, they are shaking hands with the devil. That's it, what that is. And they're not making a good deal out of it either.
minifigures were disproportionate. Some had overly long arms or oddly sculpted torsos. The decision to make the figure's legs pre-pose in a slightly bent stance also made it difficult for them to stand.
Is that Matt Hardy? Yeah, that's got to be Matt Hardy. I guess. I thought it was Undertaker for a second.
properly. Another issue was articulation. While Titantron Live figures
Vinnie
had
Mac.
improved joint movement over BCA, their leg movement was often awkward. Unlike future Jakks lines, these figures lacked a true knee joint, meaning poses were limited. And because of the electronic strip, the feet had an
Nice crotch
unusual
angle.
shape that didn't always fit properly in playsets or rings. Despite these problems, Titantron
that was
Live
Matt
remained
Hardy.
incredibly popular throughout 2000 and 2001. Jakks flooded the market with new waves, including the first ever figures of Kurt Angle,
Nice.
Chris Benoit, and the Hardy Boys.
Bro, why do the Hardy Boys look like apocalyptic warriors? Like, there's no need for this to be like this tight, like this. Look like they've got like jaundice or something. Yeah, Def Rebel figures for sure. 100% Def Rebel akin figures.
Limited edition exclusives like the House
That
of
one's
Pain
actually not
series and
bad.
the Lethal Ladder match
That's
sets
the first one I was
became
like,
sought
that
after
isn't
by
too bad.
collectors. But as Jakks had done before, they relied heavily
That's
on
a better
repaints
Triple H
and
model for
re-releases,
sure.
leading to figure fatigue. By late 2001,
Yeah,
fans
the
began
Triple
to
H
grow
model got
weary of
better. The
Titantron.
Rock model got way worse. Look at this. What is this? The Triple H model finally got good. What is that? Rikishi. Rikishi looks like he spotted some cake. He's about to go feast.
On Live Line's limitations. Jakks had realized that while electronic figures were a fun gimmick, the figures themselves needed more articulation, better proportions, and improved durability. And so, just as quickly as the Titantron Live had arrived, it was about to be replaced by a revolutionary new line, the Ruthless Aggression series.
Ooh.
By 2002, the wrestling world had changed. The Attitude Era was over. The WWF had officially rebranded as WWE. The Monday Night Wars had ended with Vince McMahon buying out WCW, and a new generation of superstars was emerging. With names like Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Randy Orton, and Batista stepping onto the scene, WWE needed a toy line that matched the evolution of its product. Enter Jakks Pacific's most successful wrestling figure series, the Ruthless Aggression series.
Jamie
Debuting
Noble.
in 2003,
Nice.
the Ruthless Aggression line was a complete departure from Titantron Live. These figures stood approximately 7 inches tall, with a bulkier build and improved articulation that allowed
Yeah,
for
I think
more
these are
realistic
the
posing.
figures that I remember.
The stiff, awkwardly bent legs of Titantron Live
like the
were
Friends
gone,
had and stuff like
replaced
that.
with a more dynamic sculpt that made the figures easier to pose in a wrestling ring. The first wave of figures featured a mix of rising stars and established legends: Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and Rey Mysterio. Each figure boasted a more detailed head scan, a massive upgrade from previous Jakks.
Oh my god, Eric
For
Bischoff
the
got an
first
action
time,
figure? What
these
the
figures
heck?
truly felt like their real-life counterparts. Unlike previous Jakks
What
figures,
is this? Oh my god. Like, I know this brother's hairy, but he just painted his body. Ooh.
lines, Ruthless Aggression figures quickly gained a
Oh
reputation
my
for their durability.
gosh.
The articulation was far superior to past figures. While they lacked
Look
the
at the
advanced
biceps. Oh my
articulation of
gosh.
later figures from Mattel, at the time they were a dream come true for wrestling fans who wanted both playability
Christy Hemme.
and accuracy. Jakks expanded the line rapidly, releasing wave
Triple H,
after
Eric
wave of
Bischoff.
superstars,
Eric Bischoff having an
including
action figure is
alternate
crazy.
attires.
Yeah,
and
what does he let
special
me his
edition
chest?
figures.
He's got some doofy
This was
chest.
also the beginning of true chase figures, rare variants that collectors would scramble to find in stores. Special sub-series included Adrenaline 2-packs, Ring Rage, and pay-per-view exclusives that featured wrestlers in their event-specific gear. The combination of mass appeal, improved sculpting, and a steady stream of releases led Ruthless Aggression to become Jakks Pacific's most beloved WWE toy line. But, as successful as it wasn't perfect. One of Jakks' biggest issues during the Ruthless Aggression era was their overuse of molds. Many figures shared the same body type, leading to repetitive sculpts. While main event stars like Triple H, The Undertaker, and Kurt Angle often received new molds, mid-card and lower-tier wrestlers
Chavo Guerrero.
frequently had recycled parts. Another problem was distribution.
What is that? What is that? Okay.
While Ruthless Aggression figures were widely available, some waves were harder to find than others,
That's
leading
pretty
to
sick.
scalping and inflated secondary market prices. Collectors would often struggle to
Ooh,
find
that's
specific
pretty sick. I like
figures,
that.
especially chase variants or exclusive store releases. Despite these setbacks, Jakks continued to innovate within the Ruthless Aggression line, introducing a variety of new features including Classic Superstars, Deluxe Aggression, and Build and Brawl, each offering something unique to collectors. Perhaps the most beloved subline of Ruthless Aggression era was Classic Superstars. Launched in 2004, the line was dedicated to past wrestling legends, from 1980s icons like Hulk
I like
Hogan.
how if you look at the box, you pay attention to the box, they're using the sculpt of the action figure almost as as the picture for who it is.
To 1990
Yeah,
stars
look
like
at that.
Razor
That's the
Ramon
sculpt for
and
the
Bret
action
Hart.
figure. That's the sculpt
For many
the
older
action
fans,
figure.
this was their
They
first
didn't use
chance
an
to own
actual
figures of
picture
their
of
childhood
them.
heroes in a modern Jakks scale. Jakks made deep cuts
That's
into
so
wrestling
funny.
history, releasing figures of long-forgotten legends, tag teams, and even managers. Classic Superstars became a collector's dream, with dozens of series released over the years. The success of the line solidified
sick.
Jakks
That
as
is-
the
I bet
undisputed
that's
king
sick.
of wrestling figures at the time.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling when I was like younger, and when this was like the target demographic, and so I never was able to get into these. But I had friends that had them, and they were so much fun. I remember this one kid had like a WrestleMania ring with like a huge entrance ramp, and we used to play, you know, WWE or whatever. I didn't know any of these wrestlers. You know, I'd pick one up and he'd tell me if they were good or not. And so it was all opinion based off of an 8-year-old, like if they were good or not. I don't even remember who I would have like played with, but yeah, we'd have wrestling matches and he'd put my guy in holds and I'd be like, I don't know what's going on. And so we'd end up wrestling each other at the end of it because I'd be mad that I don't know what's going on and he won't tell me because he wants to win. And I was like, I don't know what the objective here is. I don't know how I can win.
In 2006, Jakks attempted to push figure articulation even further with the Deluxe Aggression line. These figures featured increased articulation, allowing for more realistic wrestling moves. However, they were also slightly taller than the standard Ruthless Aggression figures, leading to scale issues when mixed with the regular line. While some collectors appreciated the added
Look at those veins. That's insane.
posability, others felt like the figures looked too elongated, with some wrestlers appearing stretched or overly muscular. Despite mixed reactions, Deluxe Aggression remained a staple in Jakks' lineup for several years. By 2008, Jakks'
Bro,
time
look at Ric Flair's head. Ric Flair's head's half his torso. And so is MVP. Bro, they made their heads huge.
as WWE's official toy maker
Oh my
was nearing its
gosh.
end. After years of dominance, the company was beginning to show cracks. Distribution issues continued. Paint apps became inconsistent, and collectors were growing frustrated with
You have that
reused
Johnny
molds.
Nitro? That's so sick.
Their figures had become a staple in every
Hell
wrestling fan's
yeah.
collection. Their playsets had revolutionized interactive wrestling toys, and their classic Superstars line had
Jesus.
immortalized the
Look,
legends
this is
of
what I'm
the
talking
past.
about. Like, oh, let me let's see. There, look, that's the that's the action figure. Not an actual picture of the guy. No, it's a very, very worked on picture of the action figure.
Stars line had immortalized the legends of the past. In February 2009, WWE and Mattel announced a multi-year deal, making Mattel the new toy manufacturer for WWE action figures beginning in 2010.
That was
It
probably
was a
a good
shocking
move.
blow to Jakks, which had spent years crafting a monopoly on wrestling toys. But for longtime collectors and fans, the switch was necessary. Jakks had run out of steam. Jakks' fall from grace wasn't an overnight event. In many ways, their decline had been set in motions years before the Mattel deal. There were several major factors that would contribute to WWE's decision to move on from Jakks. Jakks Pacific had been embroiled in legal trouble since the mid-2000s. In 2004, WWE filed a lawsuit against Jakks, claiming that the company's executives had engaged in bribery to secure their licensing deal.
Ooh.
The case dragged on for years before eventually being dismissed, but the damage was done. WWE had grown weary of its relationship with Jakks.
Ooh, that's not good.
The launch of Mattel's WWE line was met with widespread acclaim, but for longtime collectors, there was still a sense of nostalgia for Jakks. While Mattel's figures were technically superior, Jakks had left behind a legacy, one filled with childhood memories, epic toy aisles, and a decade of wrestling history
sick.
in plastic
That's pretty
form.
cool.
After losing the WWE license, Jakks attempted to stay relevant in the wrestling figure market. They shifted their
with
focus
TNA.
to TNA,
Nice.
signing a deal to produce TNA figures under the Deluxe Impact line. These figures retain the same articulation style as Deluxe Aggression, but TNA's smaller audience meant they never reached the same level of success. Despite their fall, Jakks is
Who is this? Is it? I'm trying to read the names down here to try to match it up, but best I can come up with is Psycho Sid. Oh no! It looks like a really bad version of Stone Cold. If that's supposed to be Psycho Sid, I don't even know.
WWF and WWE figures remain a cherished part of
Oh
wrestling
my
toy
no!
history.
Okay, that's Stone Cold.
For many fans, they
Okay.
represent an era of
What
wrestling
is
nostalgia.
this? That Gold Dust and Blackface? The TNA Deluxe Black Machismo Jay Lethal. Really? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's so cool. That's so cool. I gotta get into some like wrestling figure stuff. I need to start watching Matt Cardona and Buddy Matthews channel. Not Buddy Matthews. Not Buddy Matthews. Which one is it? It's Freak. I always get them mixed up. Kurt Hawkins. I forgot what he's going by now, but yeah, Kurt Hawkins.
Nostalgia, late night Raw episodes, epic backyard wrestling battles, and trips to the toy store filled with the latest releases. From the bone-crunching sounds of the early figures to the legendary classic Superstar series, Jakks Pacific helped
does he
define
really?
a generation of wrestling collectors.
That's
While
cool.
Mattel may have
I
taken
didn't
the
know that.
reins and new wrestling figure companies continue to rise, Jakks Pacific's time with the WWE will never be forgotten. It was a golden age.
Yeah,
of
if I can find a
wrestling toys,
Mankind
one that may
figure out in
never
the
be
wild. Yeah,
replicated
Brian
again.
Myers, thank you so much.
Did you grow up collecting Jakks figures? Do you have a favorite series, playset, or memory tied to these classic wrestling figures? Maybe you still have some Jakks figures proudly displayed, or maybe you remember the struggle of hunting down that one elusive chase figure in toy
1 in
aisles.
500?
Drop your
That's
thoughts in the
insane.
comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. What was your favorite line? What did you love or hate about them? And do you think any wrestling figure line will ever capture the magic of Jakks in its prime? If you enjoyed this video on wrestling toy history, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Pinfalls and Pixels, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a video. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, that was,
This is
that was
Glocky
a
and
really good video. Really good video. W Glocky. Very, very fun video. Because this is something I would have never even thought about. Either A, making a video for, or B, looking into the history of. So, W Glocky, W Pinfalls and Pixels, one of my favorite channels on YouTube right now. So, we'll have it linked down below. Make sure to give it a like. Go give them a sub. Put this in the chat real quick. First figure was specifically a WrestleMania 18 build flame shirt Chris Jericho, and I had zero clue who he was. Fair. At this point in my life, I wish that I didn't know who Chris Jericho was. He is well past his prime.